Do you think your website might be slow? Do you think this could be affecting your e-commerce conversion rate? Maybe you've read somewhere that web pages should load faster than 3 seconds, and yet when you look in your Google Analytics, it's telling you that average page load times are over 10 seconds. That means your website is too slow, right? Well, maybe. But maybe you're being misled by confusing metrics and benchmarks. This video will help you to quickly understand the difference between these confusing terms used by techies and consultants when discussing page load times. It will help you to decide which ones are important to you and what is a reasonable benchmark for the ones you care about. Let's have a look at some of these metrics with a real-life example. This is a video captured a couple of years ago for a website I used to run. This was the day before Black Friday. Not the fastest loading page, but how long did that page take to load? Let's look at it again step by step. For the first 2.3 seconds, the user sees a blank white page. Sure, there's stuff going on in the background with the browser making calls to various servers, but as far as the user is concerned, nothing is happening. They panic. Did I click the link? Is the server down? Will it ever respond? The longer this goes on, the more chance there is that the user will hit the back button or close the tab and go to someone else's website instead of yours. In the next 0.7 seconds, content is starting to load. The user heaves a huge sigh of relief. But of course, they can see that they've only got part of the page. No genes are in view at all. More content needs to load before the user will be happy. Over the next 1.6 seconds, the page is visibly fully populated. Now we can see that the browser is still loading stuff in the background, but the user doesn't care because they can see they have some genes to start looking at. Another 1.2 seconds pass, in which time a small banner appears at the top. The user didn't even realize that this was missing. And then another 5 seconds elapse where nothing is visibly changing at all. We can see that the browser is making a bunch of calls in the background. In this case, we can see it's waiting for Facebook.com, but the user is oblivious to this. The monitoring system that recorded this video determines at 11 seconds that the page is fully loaded, and this might be the page load time that Google Analytics would show in the reporting. Another way to visualize these page milestones is as a film strip, where you can see from left to right how the page builds progressively over time. Here we can visualize the customer's experience of the page load timeline. There are a number of technical terms that specialists use to describe the various milestones in the page load experience, but I'd like to concentrate on just 3. First, Contentful Paint, or FCP, measures the time from navigation to the time when the browser renders the first bit of content from the DOM, or Document Object Model. This is an important milestone for the users because it provides feedback that the page is actually loading. In layman's terms, this is the lag before the user can see the page starting to build. Speed index is a page load performance metric that shows how quickly the contents of a page are visibly populated. The lower the score, the better. In layman's terms, how long before the bit of the page that is visible looks like it is fully populated. Average page load time. The average amount of time in seconds it takes that page to load from initiation of the page view, for example, click on a page link, to completion in the browser. So this is the end-to-end page load time that you might see reported in your Google Analytics. So what would be a reasonable benchmark for these 3 metrics? For first Contentful Paint, the experts at Google categorize anything less than 1 second to be fast, and anything more than 3 seconds to be slow. For Speed Index, they say 4.3 seconds or less is fast, and more than 5.8 seconds is slow. For page load times, a site that measured over 5 million pages in 2019 said 10.3 seconds is average for desktop, and 27.3 seconds for mobile. So how did our example website do against these benchmarks? Pretty much average across the board. Definitely room for improvement. The good news is that we were able to improve on these metrics, and in 2020 the same page loads fast. So hopefully you now understand the difference between these three metrics, and you're now convinced that the first two, First Contentful Paint and Speed Index, are the ones you really need to care about. To find out how your website scores, you can use Google's PageSpeed Insights to measure First Contentful Paint and Speed Index for both desktop and mobile experiences. Always run it at least 3 times and discard the fastest and slowest results. Measure your homepage, your product lister page, and your product details pages. And you can still see your average page load time in something like Google Analytics. Thanks very much for watching, and if you want to find out how you can speed up your website, you can get in touch with me at www.simontoon.com.